it's Marisa from BumblebeeApothecary.com. Today I'd like to share with you the first of my 3 positive, natural home birth stories. So this is something that I've gotten some requests for, and speaking of requests, if you have ideas for videos that you would like me to do, be sure and leave a comment below and let me know what they are. So I know that I definitely love hearing people's experience giving birth and their different birth stories. It does seem, when you think about it, kind of funny to just sit and talk about just this, but since I know how fun it is to listen to others and interesting and helpful maybe if you're going to have a baby for the first time or something, I thought I'd go ahead and do it. So this birth story is for my oldest. She is now 5.5, and it's funny how even though it's been that many years, which I know isn't that terribly long, but you still remember it very well, especially maybe the first. It's kind of a defining moment, I guess, becoming a mother, and I don't know, it's just one of the most important things that ever happens to you, and so it sticks in your mind. I do want to say that, kind of a disclaimer, this is just my experience. I'm not saying I think having a home birth is right for everybody. What I think is important is for everybody to have a choice of where they want to have their baby. I want there to be proper, unbiased information out there about how safe home birth actually is, and just open information, and that, I guess that is one good reason to share an experience like this, is to show this is just one of many safe, natural, happy home births. But you do what's right for you. So the pregnancy with her was wonderful. In the beginning I did feel pretty sick, but that did go away, and it was a very nice, healthy pregnancy with no complications or anything. Before I decided to have a home birth, I had some friends who had had babies at home and loved the experience. They just loved already being in their house and being able to be in their own bed, have everything go the way that they wanted it to go, and that just really appealed to me. I researched a ton. I did not go into this not knowing anything. I researched and read as much as I could, so I knew that we were making a really informed decision. My husband and his family were really supportive of it, which I was really happy about too. And so it seemed like a really easy decision. I had all the information, I had talked to lots of people, and I decided that's what I wanted to do. So the pregnancy with her went really, really well. There was really nothing notable. I mean, I ended up having her 2 days before my due date. It's kind of interesting, with all of my kids, I have never gone past my due date, but when the babies are born, they are big, they do not look early, they look late, if anything. And I just find that really interesting, how different everybody is as far as their cycles, I guess, and the timing of everything. It's just, I don't know, kind of interesting. With her, I had maybe 1 night of maybe kind of false labor. It wasn't really much of anything at all. I was thankful that I didn't have what some people have, where they have false labor night after night. None of that. I was able to sleep well, be well rested. And the day before she was born, things started kind of happening a little bit different. I had been getting lots of Braxton Hicks contractions, and those were, I knew what those felt like, but this day it was kind of different. They were getting stronger, and they weren't regular at all, but they were coming, fairly frequently, and I started to think, maybe something's starting to happen here. I was teaching violin lessons at the time, and I made it through a certain number of lessons, and then I was getting to the point where I had to kind of stop what I was doing and work, spend some time to get through contractions, and I decided to cancel the rest of the lessons that day because I figured something's probably going to happen here, and I don't want to be trying to teach a violin lesson and be going through this. So I did that. Kind of went through the rest of the late afternoon, made dinner. Around 6:30, the contractions started to get more consistent, and by that point I was thinking I'm probably in early labor, so I decided to go to bed and try to get as much rest as I could. That was one of the things that I had read about, was if you think you're in early labor, try to sleep. Get some rest, because you have a big job ahead of you. So I did that. I don't remember really being able to sleep because the contractions kept coming. Around 10:45, I had my husband call our midwife, and she actually happened to be close by because she was leaving another hospital that was close by, and so she decided to just stop by and see how I was doing. By that time it was 11 p.m. and I was already definitely in active labor. This is the first time I had done this, and you have all the ideas of how to get through it, but until you're really there, it's, you know, it's just hard to know, hard to be prepared. So, you know, I was, you know, making noise and trying to get through the contractions, and I was dilated to 6 centimeters at that point because they did go ahead and check me. So then right after I knew, okay, we're going, this is happening, I decided to get into the shower because I knew that water was really helpful for getting through those contractions. So I did that. One thing that I have discovered after having 3 babies now is that my first stage of labor goes pretty fast. Like, it kind of hits, you know, more or less suddenly, and I get through that in, you know, pretty short amount of time, which I guess is nice because that is the most intense part. After about a half an hour, I got out of the shower and then I just tried moving around different ways, standing. The midwife offered different suggestions of things that I might try, different positions. At this point, you know, I was just dilating. By 12:20, they checked me again and I was completely dilated. So, you know, pretty fast, intense first stage there. Right at that point, once they knew that I was dilated, I got the urge to push and my water broke all at once. And then at this point, for me, the hard work really started. I've learned now that my pelvis is shaped whatever way that makes it so that I have to work really hard to push those babies out. So at this point, you know, being the first time that I'm going through this, I didn't realize yet how much effort I really had to put forward. I had read things about that your body will do the work, you just have to breathe and relax, and that those contractions will get the baby out. And maybe that's true for some people, but my midwife eventually told me that when you're having a baby, especially for the first time, you do have to put forth some effort. And then for me, like I said, with my pelvis the way it is, I have to put forth a lot of effort. So for the first about hour, I wasn't really pushing very effectively because, you know, I didn't know. And so I was just trying different positions and, you know, things weren't really progressing. And then my midwife told me, you know, you have to actually put forth some effort. So I was like, oh, okay. And so that's when I started, you know, really pushing. And even then it didn't happen right away. I had some time yet. I had to push for a long time. 3 hours is really what I spent after that, pushing as hard as I could. I say the same thing after each of the babies that I've had. It's the hardest thing I've ever done. It is incredibly hard work. I hear stories of other people who push like a few times and the baby's out, and I'm just like, wow. But yeah, that's not how it is for me. I have to push really hard, but I did it. I kept going, trying different positions. And you're gonna hear in the other birth stories that I do for my other kids that as I get to know my body better, I find that there's better positions that help my pelvis be in a position that helps the baby actually be able to come. So, you know, that's the benefit of having experiences, that you figure out these things about yourself and that the next times it can go better. When she was finally able to come through, I was finally able to push her through, and she came nice and fast the rest of the way, looked really good, great color, almost none of the white vernix stuff on her at all, maybe just a little bit in the creases. She didn't cry at all. She just looked around like, oh, where am I? It's the most precious thing ever. Got to hold her right away. We waited for a long time to cut her cord or clamp it or anything, and she started nursing really well right away, and it was amazing to meet her for the first time. I did tear a little bit and they stitched me up. One of the neat things that this midwife does is she does an herbal bath afterwards for the mom and the baby, and that just helps everybody heal and, you know, get over the, you know, what you've been through. It helps the tears heal and helps bring down swelling and everything. It's good for the baby, for their umbilical cord. So we got to go do that herbal bath and then come out and then get into bed, and then at that point I was able to nurse her some more and then get some sleep. And that is when I so loved being at home, where I could just eat the food that was there and have my own bed and everything the way that I wanted it. I guess also I'm very thankful that I was at home for the whole part of it taking a while to push her out. My midwife just had a lot of confidence. You know, she was monitoring the baby's heart rate and making sure everything was fine, and she, you know, would know if anything started to be a problem, but she just very calm and just helped me through that. And I'm thankful. I know a lot of times if things are not progressing the way that the doctors think that they should in a hospital, just for the sake, you know, I'm not saying this if there's a real problem and the baby needs to come out sooner. Obviously, you want to do what you need to do to get that baby out. But if the baby's fine and it's just taking a little bit longer to push the baby out, I just am so thankful for this option of a home birth where you have a midwife with wisdom and confidence who can just guide you through that and not rush you into a C-section or some other type of a more traumatic birth situation that would end up not being good, and it's, you know, when it's not necessary. So I'm very thankful for that. So obviously I loved my positive natural home birth experience, and I went on to do it 2 more times afterwards, which I'm going to tell you about in upcoming videos if you'd like to hear. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions about anything, and if you have had kids at home, or like a natural birth at a birth center, or a natural birth in a hospital. I would love to hear your experience too, if you have some little bits of what your experience was like or thoughts about any of this. Be sure and leave a comment. So I hope that you enjoyed seeing that. Thanks so much for listening and for leaving comments and for giving this video a thumbs up if you like it. Here on my channel, I show you how to make nourishing recipes for nutrient-dense food, natural remedies, and DIY skincare and home products. So if those are something that you're interested in and you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I get out 2 videos every week. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time. Bye.